She may not be a household name, but her dedication to women's basketball has helped shape the career of household names and future stars on the court. Congratulations. I am so grateful for your time. Just why now? Why is now the right time to retire?
I think, I just looking back on the number of years that I've been involved with the program and where it is now, I think the timing is just right for me in terms of just a few numbers. I've been involved with Canada basketball for a total of 30 years, really. 4 years as a player, 26 plus years in the management role that I have, and started to play the game 50 years ago. And we have, since I've come on board, we've qualified for 5 Olympic Games, 5 World Cups, and I said to my colleagues, there's 5 rings on the Olympic symbol, and so there's numbers there perhaps, but it's just for me time to be able to have more time to myself with family and friends, and feel excited about leaving the program in a good place for the next generations to take the Olympic torch and move it forward to new heights.
You talk about leaving this program in a good place. I know when there was the Mad Love campaign, you all wrote letters to yourself, and I just want to take a little bit out from yours where it said, "It takes mad love to want to play so badly that you will sacrifice time with your friends and family, live out of a suitcase for years, and see how men and women's sports receive different treatment." What is something you're most proud about in moving the women's game, so there are more opportunities, or it's almost at more of an equal ground here in Canada?
Yeah, I think the most proud of is actually there was nothing here, and there was no programming, no opportunities for young girls, and so we needed to develop programming, curriculum, train coaches, and give a place for young girls to actually train and compete in order to achieve their dreams of being the best that they could be, and developing them on and off the court to be ambassadors of their country, to be proud to be part of our Canada basketball family. And so having a podium pathway, as they call it, is an accomplishment that I'm very proud of. The other one would be having a strategy for women in coaching, and what that impact has been, being intentional about hiring and giving women opportunities, and just hearing from them of how much it has meant to them to be given those opportunities.
As much as we can celebrate everything that you have done, there's no way this was an easy journey, especially when you say it started from nothing. So I know I want to talk about the positive, but just how difficult was this to even get to where we are today?
Yeah, it was very, very challenging. I don't think people realize there was only 4 people in the Canada basketball office when we started. And so I was overseeing men's, women, coaching education, domestic, and it was the first 18 months, there was only 4 of us. And my colleague Bev Smith talked about Sisyphus, and being French Canadian, I didn't know about Greek mythology, and I thought, okay, what is this concept of pushing this boulder up the mountain? And I lived in Switzerland for a number of years, coaching, playing, and I thought, oh my God, this is like pushing a boulder up the Alps. And so with nothing there was a lot of challenges because it was full reliance at the time. I don't think Canada basketball was in financially a good situation. And so that's why we only had 4 employees. And so then for them, building that base of support, and but it was a lot of reliance solely on government funding. And so you lived through the ebbs and flows of sole reliance on government funding. And so we only had senior teams. There was once in a while, there was a universiad team, but then it was little by little just being able to kind of be creative with the finances that you did have in order to give people the opportunity. So we get together maybe with the age group teams for, 3 days and then go compete. Something as crazy as that, And so it was mission impossible, but little by little I think, it's truly been a team effort. People across the country, in the provinces that ran the Centers for Performance program, the coaches that truly believed, and all this in a volunteer system. And what people may not know is that truly we're competing against other nations that have a domestic professional league with coaches that are paid full time, to work in the clubs with the younger athletes, and we are sole reliance in this country on volunteer coaches, except for maybe the university coaches. So that's how difficult it really was. It's the ebbs and flows, you know, and just navigating through it, and having really good people around you that kind of helped it make. But it was all probably just the passion of wanting to provide people with opportunities to live their dream of being and becoming an Olympian was what kind of kept me going through all those challenges, and trying to be really optimistic and trying to keep a positive attitude through it all.
When you talk about that moment of, you know, achieving their dreams, being an Olympian, the last time I saw you was in Paris, which I don't get to say to people often. But we saw like the 3x3 team. We saw the women's team. I know it wasn't the results that we wanted, but for some of them, it was their first Olympics that they got to be on the roster, like Sammy, and like in that moment. How proud are you in those moments when you're seeing them on the court living their dreams, getting to say, I'm an Olympian?
Oh, it's the proudest, probably, you know, when people ask me, what's the memories and the proudest moments, it's that. It's when we qualify for the Olympics, and to see the athletes that actually are selected and realize that dream for the first time, or the second time, or the third time. It never is taken for granted. We have tremendous role models and ambassadors that have represented our country, but that's probably the big one, is when they first make it and they're just so grateful.
When we talk about championship moments, I've been always wanting to ask you about 1979, when you were part of the group that got the first medal for Canada at a FIBA Women's Championship. What do you remember about that moment?
Oh wow, well this was quite an interesting adventure. You know, I was 19 years old or 18 years old, and I just remember we were going to Korea, and the stadium, I'd never seen so many fans in the stadium. It was, I don't know how many, tens of thousands of people that were in the stadium, and Korea had actually selected Canada in their pool, thinking, they'll be easy. And we end up upsetting Korea in their first game, and it was big news in the papers and whatnot. And I remember being on the court and playing against the Japanese team. I got an opportunity as third point guard as a young one to go in, and I just have vivid memories of how, whoa, I've never played against Japanese players who were they'd steal the ball from you if you showed it. So it was like crab dribbling up the court, and then just that realization of, okay, we won a bronze medal here. It was pretty special, and it was telex at the time, so receiving news from, you know, my brother-in-law from overseas, and yeah, it was just a really neat cultural experience, and you know, being surrounded by these women who had, you know, been on this journey for so many years, and who kind of held me under their little wings, like Sylvia Sweeney or Bev Smith or Deb Hugh Band, you know, who have remained friends, really.